Hey, welcome to Blue Jay Banner today. I'm Tim Kruger, along with my buddy Mike Schmidt. How you doing, Mike?
Yeah, you're doing great, Tim.
All right, today we're just going to we're going to veer off here a little bit and go back in history and talk about not that far back in history, actually. We're going to talk about three teams because we don't, when you, Tim, I don't know how you are, Mike, but when you're in the middle of all this and these games, like we were discussing the other day, they run together. You're like trying, well, wait a minute, I thought so and so was on that team or whatever. When you're in the moment, the games kind of run together, and the seasons run together, and you don't really look back. And it's pretty incredible when you look back. We're only about halfway through the decade, and we've already had three teams that have made the Sweet 16. Like
It's been a good run, but you're
that
right. The teams and the players and the years, certainly as I get older, run together.
I know it. So we thought we'd compare and contrast those three teams. Now, one made it a little bit further to the Elite Eight, but in my book, had Princeton not had two upset wins, we'd have played a much tougher team in that Sweet 16 game, right?
Well, of course,
So
that goes both ways. And
luck of the draw, right? I totally
yeah,
get it.
you
Totally
know,
get it. I'm just
where
saying.
we should have played UMBC if we hadn't gotten upset by Kansas State or whatever. But
Right.
yeah,
And
no,
I'm just saying, just because one team made it one step further doesn't necessarily mean that team was that much better or what have you. But at any rate, we're gonna discuss that for a few minutes here. But first, I want to say thanks to our sponsor, Infusion Brewing Company. Check them out. Go to infusionbrewing.com. They've got all these tabs. You can click on all the different beers. It'll tell you about how they're brewed and what's in each of the beers and their popularity and so forth and their origin and all that kind of thing. And then go down to their tasting room in Southwest Omaha, right on the south side of the interstate across from Oak Hills Country Club, and fabulous tasting room. Go in there. They got great food, new paved parking lot. It's beautiful. So check it all out. That's infusionbrewing.com. All right. So the three teams, there was the 2021 team that, again, that was a kind of a little asterisk team because that was a season we played in arenas that were about 1/10 full if there was any crowd, right? And the NCAA tournament was held all in Indianapolis, and we think we played all of our games in Hinkle, if I remember correctly. Then there was,
you're right. Yeah.
yeah, and then there was the 22-23 team that was the Elite Eight team, where we lost by 1 point to San Diego State, going to the Final Four. And again, I should mention Princeton, but you remember going to that tournament, everybody was like, oh God, how are we ever going to beat Alabama? Well, San Diego State beat Alabama, and that's how we ended up playing the 5 seed. And then of course, the year after that, we won the overtime game against Oregon and got to the Sweet 16 against Tennessee.
Correct.
So those are the three teams we're going to compare and contrast. I think we can just start like we'll just kind of go position sort of ish,
Sure.
like with the 21 team. Marcus Zagorowski was our point guard. Obviously, he was there the next year and then got injured, or the year before he got injured. But he was there. I always tell people that was a blowout. Obviously, we lost by 18, 20, whatever it was.
Yeah.
We got hammered. But he was the one guy I felt looked like he belonged out there that day. Would you agree with? I mean, he was.
Well, I mean,
without him, would have been a 40-point loss.
I think, when you talk about Marcus, you talk about one of the best two, if not three, point guards in Creighton history. So,
Right.
yeah, I will never disagree that Z, maybe isn't the best player on the floor for Creighton in any of those instances.
Yeah. And then we had Ashworth as our point guard in the Tennessee loss.
Yep.
And Nemhard, the point guard. So, you would probably say that 21 team maybe had by a slight edge. Some people would argue, but I would, and I think you in agreement with me, probably had the best of the point guard selection there. Not that the other two were bad at all. They weren't.
No, No, just
They weren't.
maybe.
They were different. They were all three
Yeah.
were different, frankly.
Yeah.
But we've been blessed as we talked when we talked the all century or all quarter century team. We've been blessed with a ton of great point
Yeah.
guards.
Great
Just
in
those
their
three.
own way.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody's been different. Like Dotzler was a defensive guy. Antoine was kind of a physical point guard that people probably didn't
No, he's a
appreciate when he's here.
scoring
But
point guard. I mean,
and
he had to
when you
carry the
looked at
scoring.
yeah, when you look at the overall all time standings, you're shocked to see how high he ranks and everything. Anyway, we had tons of them. So I would say that. Okay, then you slide over. We had the 21 team, of course, had Mitch Ballard. So
Yep.
that was a big, you know, a big. If you remember in those that year teams, that was like the first when you heard other coaches talk. That was the first guy they talked about was Mitch. Um, the 23 team had Trey, had Kaluma. Okay.
Yep.
So there was a plethora of guys, athletic guys. That was the 23 team was, Nemhard, Kaluma, and Trey all were sophomores.
Yes.
Yeah. Now some of these guys overlapped, of course, because Trey overlapped obviously onto the next team too, under the 2014.
Right.
I would say obviously that version of Trey was way better than the one in 23.
Yeah, he had added that kind of step back fadeaway at that point that, I mean, just was a money shot for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Kaluma was the one guy that was on the 23 team, not the 2014.
Right.
And I think, there was a lot of debate if you remember when he left. Like people were like, "Wow, we're really gonna miss him." Other people were like, "Yeah, not so much." I mean,
Yeah, it was art was there was good art and bad art in that. Boy, the ball got sticky with him, and we lost a lot of ball movement, which was, has been a hallmark of MAC teams. But then he was also a guy who, boy, I mean, just physically could match up with guys, other teams at the four, physically or defensively and offensively. So yeah, I mean, there was a lot of debate about whether that
right.
was going to be a plus or minus.
Yeah. And the 24 team, that's when you had Baylor
Right.
as well, and so you had Baylor on the 24 team and the 23 team.
Mm-hmm.
So he was another guy that was a holdover from both teams and a key contributor. So it's hard to compare. So you kind of got to contrast when you're starting to talk there. We've already mentioned Mitch, but then you've got to kind of contrast Baylor and Kaluma on the Elite Eight team with Mahoney and Jefferson.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give the nod to Baylor there. People forget what a great rebounder he was right from the jump, and a great passer. Art was a good rebounder, and as mentioned, Art was somewhat of an unwilling passer. Um, so I'm taking BS there.
Yeah. So we had, I think that the Gonzaga team, frankly, in some ways had a little more depth. Roddy wasn't really trusted that 21 season. 22's when he played more, but we had a guy that was really reliable in Farabello.
Yeah, yeah, not
So
flashy, not sexy, but boy, he did the
well,
little things and
in
that.
the 20, I'm talking about. I'm sorry, I'm getting my years mixed up, but he was on the 23.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
23 and 24. So there was a lot of overlap, obviously, those 2 years. I mean, the biggest difference was that 2021 team. We, we had more of a running style because we had a center who was more mobile and agile in Bishop.
Yeah.
Now, he wasn't offensively skilled from the perimeter at all. But let's face it, in
No, no.
23,
In fact,
Kalk really wasn't either. Kalk started to get more perimeter oriented in 24.
for sure. And in fact, when Bishop, said he was leaving because Texas told him he could play the four, I mean,
Yeah.
there was a lot of Creighton fans that just kind of chuckled, like, "Well, we'd let him play the four if he could, but he can't shoot."
Yeah.
And that was borne out. Like he never played um, anything but center, I think, at Texas.
Right. Right. And yeah, in our offense, you just got to have a four has got to produce offensively.
Yeah, yeah, or at least be a threat.
Yeah. I mean, let's face it, that's why when Mason's, shooting went south, that's why he didn't play as much. Okay.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
As much as he tried to improve defensively and some other things, like um, it just wasn't working great.
yeah. And I guess if you look back, you start looking at we kind of talked about, well, which team had the toughest road, okay? And we quickly mentioned that Elite Eight team, having got the bonus of playing Princeton in the Sweet 16 game, but um, we had that was North Carolina State and then Baylor back to back in the Elite Eight year. And remember, North Carolina State was very talented.
Oh, they had that big center
Yeah,
who tore up the tournament the following year to the point that NC State made the Final Four.
yeah, yeah. That
And
big
he
dude.
could not hang with Kalkbrenner and being run like he got run.
Yeah,
Big fella didn't have the wind or the length
right.
to play with the Jays.
And then we had the Princeton game, and then we got a favorable. I think even so, San Diego State's kind of had our number over the years, but we kind of got a favorable matchup. Obviously, not playing Alabama because that
Yeah.
was an incredibly talented Alabama team, and we found that out when we played them again. But the next 2 years, but he, yeah, so we kind of got it better on the back end. But then when you look at that 2021 team, who do we play? We got in
Well,
with Ohio, right? Ohio upset someone, right? Correct. We barely
yeah.
won the first game. We won the first game at a buzzer. Sharif made a layup, I believe, or free throws, and that's how we beat Cal Santa Barbara. And then the guy missed a
That's right.
layup.
That's right.
Guy missed a layup at the end, or
Yeah,
we'd
that was a
have
game
been
that was
knocked out.
closer and probably should have. And then
Yeah,
Ohio was a good team out of the MAC, and there was a few people. Oh well, look out for the Ohio. I don't think Jay fans were that worried about them, and we took care of them pretty well.
right.
And then it was Kansas, which
No, there was Gonzaga.
or Gonzaga rather. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
So
both
you know,
formidable.
yeah. So that team kind of got a nice pass and there's never a pass in the NCAA tournament. Everyone knows it.
No, of course.
But
There are
but
better matchups and there are bad matchups.
there was an upset.
No.
Each year we've gotten in there was an upset. Well, there wasn't in 24, however. We won the first game and then beat Oregon in a tightly contested match.
Just a battle.
Yeah, and then got in there. So we just basically did what we had to do there to get on. I don't know if you the Sweet 16 opponents that we lost to. Gonzaga was awfully good that year with Timmy. They were really good.
Yeah.
They were really good. Tennessee was really good.
Oh yeah. What's his name? The transfer from Northern Colorado who ended up in
yeah.
I don't know. Was he a top 10 or a top 15 pick? But he was
something like that.
He was every bit he was hyped up to be.
And then then San Diego. Well, to win the Sweet 16 game, we beat Princeton, which obviously can cause teams problem. But that was not a vintage Princeton team. They were good, but they weren't great.
No, and they played above their heads in the previous games to get where they got, and they just got outmatched.
Yeah, so we probably would only taken. I mean, don't get me wrong, wouldn't minded Mitch, but when you had a guy like Baylor who could shoot pretty deep, okay, and was bigger than Mitch, and from the 2021 team, if you wanted to move a player onto those other two squads, Zagorowski would probably be the only guy you'd pick. And
Yeah.
even that, I mean, you had Nemhard, you had Ashworth. Ashworth was better his senior year than his junior, but still, you had a pretty good point guard. So it's not like the only thing you missed versus Nemhard versus Zagorowski was obviously his outside shooting.
Yeah.
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 Nemhard was much quicker. I don't know, defensive wise, I think I'd probably take Zagorowski.
Yeah, I mean, and if you remember, Nemhard's size was a little bit of an issue
Yeah.
defensively, where teams would really kind of try to push him out with some screening and whatnot that he struggled with sometimes.
Right.
So
Right. Um, yeah, other than that, I mean, Kalkbrenner was the bridge there, right?
for sure.
And obviously, he just got better with age. So, the 24 team, he was really good.
Really good.
And freshman, he was, think back when he was a freshman, right? So,
Yeah.
but it is pretty amazing. We played 5 years, and 3 of them we've been in the Sweet 16. I mean, that just dawned on me the other day. That's why I wanted to talk about this. That's pretty incredible. I don't hear anybody talking about that really.
Well, I mean, it's not just a Creighton story. It's a look where this team came. I mean, I think it's every bit um, the story that Butler goes to the finals for those 2 years, out of nowhere. And of course, they had Haywood and some of those other great players for them, but they've come back to earth. And Creighton has not come back to earth. We've been building on these teams, and it's not a fluke. We have been a program in the top 15, 20 rankings minimum every season.
Yeah.
And I always say, you can get there and you can have a player or something who will do something special and have a big moment. But the hardest thing to do in any sport is to win consistently. And that's what Mac has built.
Yeah. Crazy. Which of those three teams, which were you most surprised at that made the Sweet 16?
I have to say, the first year, the freshman year with Trey and Nemhart was out.
No, they were sophomore. They were sophomores that year.
Were they sophomores that year?
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Probably that team, just because it was so green and so. I mean, yeah, they were good, but they were the leaders. Those were the guys that were kind of making it happen. And I think that one surprised me the most.
And the fact that when you looked at that bracket, there was Baylor, the team that had just whomped us in the one team where we thought, okay, this is the team that's going to make the Sweet 16, right? Doug Founder. And they're the team that whomped us, and we're just like, oh, great. There's Baylor.
Right. Oh, no.
Sitting there.
Until we finally got those guys, there was a lot of hand-wringing and consternation, and Baylor had been in our heads since Doug's senior year. And, yeah.
And the other thing was, I think we kind of expected it in 2024. I mean, we kind of liked our draw there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's true. Yeah,
we kind of liked our draw, what we had there in 2024. The weird thing is, 19 and 20, that 20 team was our best team, probably in that whole, as far as the rankings go. And as far as our seed, we'd have been probably a 2 seed.
Yeah.
Now Zagorowski got hurt, so that would have thrown a wrench into everything. But had he not got hurt, I mean, that would have been.
Well,
we were going to be a 2 seed
team too, with Mahoney and whatnot.
Yeah.
We
had not had 2 guys like Mahoney and Jefferson on a team together ever that I can remember. with that much talent, that much athleticism, and Jefferson became a very good shooter. You
Right.
know,
And they were both physical guys,
right?
from a defensive standpoint. Now, they didn't have a lot of size, which would have been a problem had we met, like a Gonzaga with, couple 6'10", 7 footers
Yeah.
along the front line. But boy, they could run, they could hit threes, and they were fun to watch. And who knows, like you said, minus the Z injury, but
But we had Jet Canfield.
well, he had his moment as well. So
I was there. I was there in person. Saw his greatest game ever. But we just thought, we did the other day when we did the our first random Blue Jay of the week, and we kind of started reminiscing about some of those old teams. I thought that kind of triggered in my mind, like, hey, we should talk about the more recent teams because they were obviously the ones, that yeah. I just again, it's crazy that we don't.
right, and it's important to recognize the greatness of these teams and these seasons, kind of as we move a little bit further from them, because we do have great expectations, and we're dying to get that Final Four appearance. But boy, these are the shoulders that we've been built, are standing on, and the greatness of those players and those teams deserve every bit of recognition.
Yep. Well, I hope you enjoyed our look back at the three Sweet 16 teams so far this decade. We're only halfway through, guys. Come on, we got more to go.
Bigger
So
and
thanks so
better.
much. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it, and look forward to our show tomorrow.
Yeah, right on.